Hello, I'm your host, Reverend Rene'e Ellis of Real Anointed Needed Talk, R.A.N.T.forLife podcast. We have been on the air and on different podcast platforms and also on Facebook on Real Anointed Needed Talk for a year now. And we're going to have a review on our topics covering 2020 from our onset in January up until December 2020. And I am very excited, for we are an unapologetic format with real talk. You ask, and we have talked about it this year. Our guests on today will be the Reverend Sheree R. Williams and Leora Jackson. This podcast is sponsored by an apple cider vinegar gummy for your health needs, and it also helps in evangelistic outreach services to children. A Goalie slash Rene'e L. Ellis. That's GO.GOLI.com/ReneeElLEllis. Also, you can cash app us at capital R.A.N.T.forLife 50. Yes, we're coming to you on Zoom. Hopefully in the year 2021 we'll be live, but you can all, like I said before, you can always go to our different podcast platforms to hear us. And on Facebook at Real Anointed Needed Talk, and on our channel ReneeLEllis 50, you can also see us. We upload videos on there, and all things Reverend Rene'e Ellis is on those two channels. The channel again is ReneeLEllis 50 and Real Anointed Needed Talk, and always on our Facebook page of Real Anointed Needed Talk, and also on Rene'e L. Ellis. So just sit back and hold on. We are going to come to you with a review of 2020. Real Anointed Needed Talk, where we was always unapologetic in our talk. And we won't leave you wishing for anything better, because we're going to come to you just like we are. Real Anointed Needed Talk, just for you. A review of 2020. Talk to you later. Bye. Okay, here we are. It's the December 31st, 2020. You know, we've had a year of going to different podcast topics and things of that nature. So our topic on today is going to be year 2020, R.A.N.T.forLife podcast topics in review. So we're going to review some of our topics in the beginning. The podcast next month, the podcast will be a year old. Can you believe that?
Ooh, wow.
It don't seem like it.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
It doesn't seem like it, but it is. And I'll introduce you. My guest is Sister Leora Annette Jackson, who's been with me from the beginning. I think she did the very first podcast with me. And
Yes.
And then Reverend Sheree R. Williams, which everybody by now should recognize that that's my daughter, although I never introduced her as my daughter, but I think by now everybody knows, it wasn't a secret, but it just didn't seem important to announce that. But now that we're reviewing, here it is December 31st, 2020. We are we've come back together, the three of us, and we're going to review some topics. Okay. So our topic, the very first topic of our podcast, Sister Leora, do you remember? It was the real deal about Black history. Should it be taught all year? Do you remember your comments on that one?
Yes, I remember that conversation, girl. And we had a good conversation about that, about Black history. And I said, yes, we need Black history year round. Shoot, we need it all the time, because we are so behind on it. Our children are behind.
Yes.
Yes, girl, I remember that topic. We talked a lot about
Yeah,
that,
because
and it was
like
great.
anything
I
else,
just wish we could
Black
more.
history don't stop. I mean, you can't get it all in 1 month. It just ain't gonna happen.
Right.
If you did it
Right.
every day that month, you're
Exactly.
not gonna get all the Black history. So, why not have
Yeah.
it all
I
year
mean,
round?
exactly. 28 or 29 days is just not enough. I mean, barely.
Mm-mm.
You can't get all of us in just that 1 month. You sure can't. No
No,
way.
it's not like it's just 28 of them, 28 different Black history moments that you take one every
Yeah.
day and then be done with it. It's not that easy.
Yeah, they have like
Exactly.
they compete with other topics too.
Right.
It does not teach
Right.
Black history, every day, all day. Which
Right.
that's the only way you would get to comprise all of
Mhm.
Black history, because
It's always something different.
yeah,
And it don't always have to necessarily be
Right.
the old Black history. It can be something new Black history every day.
well, there's so much. I mean, there's so much Black history that we can't encompass it all at one time anyway. If you
Nope.
start back from the Africa, the kings and the queens in
No.
Africa, and the life that they were
Exactly.
living, What'd you say, Sister Leora?
Yeah. Yes. I said, yeah, you're right. I mean, the kings and queens, all about from that period of time, which is still, so much in there, but it's not taught as often because we don't get it as much in the schools. Because the schools ain't gonna want to know. Sometimes they don't want you to know how, you know, how famous or how successful Black people were back in those days. They're not going to tell children that. So we're kind of sort of whitewashed into what the culture of that time is. They don't want us to know what our culture was before. So yes, I mean the
Plus, they
kings
get
and
to pick and
queens of
choose
those
what part of the culture they
historic
see.
days are still necessary.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think she.
right. I mean, that's the thing. Exactly. So, in order to know where we're going for the future, we have to teach it. But it's
So,
like, yes, Black history should be year round, starting with everything.
and I think we came to the
What you
conclusion.
say, Sheree?
Yeah, I think we
Oh,
came to the conclusion too on that podcast that it should not be mixed in with the history, that there should be a Black history class by itself.
Yep.
mm-hmm.
And
And
not
give people the opportunity to
mixed in
want to
with
learn it.
European history. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I think we
Yes.
had a real good time. I
And
look back
have
on
it.
that podcast and we was laughing. We we had a great time on that one.
I know, girl.
You remember that?
It was a good one. I like that.
Yeah, for a kickoff, that was really fun.
Yeah.
So then we went on and we talked about, are you shackled or not? And what that was talking about, but are you, the things that's going on in your life, is the season or the cultural, have you restricted or bound, or are you just letting is it voluntary? Are you voluntarily allowing yourself to be tied up and hindered, even in the way God has called you to do or to be? Are you letting other people hinder you? Are you letting them shackle you? Or are you voluntarily just saying, oh, well, I'm just going to do what everybody tell me to do and not following the will of God in your life? So are you shackled or not? Is it voluntary, or are you caught in a bad place?
Well, for me, I'm not shackled. I'm not bound, but I mean, I'm not, I guess, complacent, but I don't know how to explain that one. But
Yeah.
I'm not
Well,
shackled.
how much? Well, let me put it this way: how much of your life are you shackled, trying to play favorite or favoritism with others, or is it voluntary? And that's voluntary, or are you just in a place of restraint? what part of your life? Whether it's ministry, whether it's work, whatever.
Probably both.
So you run 50-50.
If that's at all possible.
What about you, Sister Leora?
I mean, it's like I'm trying to figure out how to explain it. I wouldn't say I'm going along with the favoritism of what everyone else is doing or what everyone else is into. I mean, I guess in a format, it's like you don't want to be held down, or but you want to be able to be free and exploring, and I guess normalized, I guess, like everyone else. When it comes to spiritual development, I guess in that way, I want to not just try to be ordinary like everybody else, but I want to try to do things that are a little bit different, a little bit extraordinarily different than what the norm is of everybody else is doing. So it's like outreach, and I want to do more of my outreach. I want to do more talking. I want to do more ministry. I want to help more children. So I'm always constantly trying to do more by not being bounded or held down. I guess that's what you mean. And I mean, I may be totally off subject or whatever.
That's why I'm like, maybe both. Cause I mean, I'm not playing favoritism, but I do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll just use myself.
But I mean, I guess it.
You know, I felt shackled because there was so much that God was giving me to do. And it almost seemed like COVID helped me to unshackle myself, you know, because now I can teach to whomever, you know, I'm not stuck in a time frame. So it's like I guess I was voluntarily shackled because I allowed myself to be constricted into the status quo. And now, you know, it's like, hey, I'm going to do all that God has told me to do or lead me to do, and the platforms that he's given me to do it in, because rant is all God.
Right.
You know, this is all God. Before pandemic hit that we knew about it, God had already, this was 2 years in the makings, you know, and I guess God knew that sooner or later I was going to realize that I was shackled, and the platform was going to be ready by the time I mentally realized that I can be unshackled voluntarily, still do the will of God through the platform that he has given.
Right.
I am so much more happy. You know, I don't feel so bowed down by structure and things of that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's true. And it's not being, you know, conformed to that structure, because, you know, as a church body, we know we are the church, but we don't want to be confined in those rituals, those laws, those rules. I don't think Jesus was all bounded by those rules, those laws, and those restrictions. Of course, he had to respect the Old Testament in his walk. When he was doing his ministry, he always referred back to the 10 Commandments, but he always, you know, looked at the Pharisees and the whatever the scribes were, the scribers, the spiritual leaders. Yeah, they were the lawmakers at that time. They were the ones that
structure,
you know, the scripture. So
and
they was all like,
he unshackled. He went through and said, you don't have to be bound by you know, by those rituals, you know, that that's what they obviously they had against him, because he was pulling people out of the rituals, you know. Letting them know that this was an individual walk, you know. Salvation was free. It didn't depend upon the works or your status, you know. It, you know, it depended on the faith. You know, we live by faith, you know, trusting and obeying him. And so I think that's what we were talking about. We say, are you shackled or not? Are you allowing the system, no matter what it is? You know, even with my job, I was feeling shackled and overtaken, and I voluntarily unshackled myself. I'm working 11 to 7 starting after New Year's, because I decided that I can choose what anxiety that I want to deal with. You know,
yeah.
So I unshackled myself because the anxiety that I was dealing with, I felt I don't have to deal with that. I have choices. So, even in my total life, that's the growth that I grew in 2020, was of looking at and see what was shackling me, and whether it was voluntarily or was I just didn't realize I was being shackled,
Mm.
And so now I'm nah. I would say shackled. I say nah. So I'm on the nah side. So let us move on. We talked about COVID and church diversity. We're gonna be talking about COVID one way or the other in these topics. But did COVID cause the church to embrace diversity, or was it already diverse in an evangelistic way? How did
They
COVID
probably did it. They probably did it more now
Yes, yes.
than it was before, because now they're out. They don't have a choice but to be out. Well, some of them don't have a choice but to be outside the building in order to do ministry.
Yeah.
So it helped for those that weren't doing it at all, and then it probably enhanced the ones that were doing some.
Okay.
Right. And I agree in that way. It did bring about more diversity and a more inclusion. If those churches weren't doing it before, they're doing it more so now, not just because of COVID, the pandemic, but because of more of the social issues, social justice issues that was going on as well. That added more of a diversity enforcement to it for them to be more inclusive. And then more of the meetings and conferences, I know for me, having online this year virtually, they were focusing more on the diversity issues. So diversity has been more of a topic now, not just in business world, but of course in our churches, to be more inclusive and to show that diversity by outreaching to communities more and going into those places that they don't usually go to, and talking to people they don't usually talk to.
Right.
We're reaching people that we, instead of just preaching to the 30 odd some or 20 odd some members, that you see every week, all during the week the same. Now you're preaching and teaching to all diverse cultures, in other ethnic groups, and other people that would not ordinarily step foot inside of a church are now tuning in, and they're receiving the word of God. So yeah, I think COVID did cause the church to embrace diversity in a wider and a broader scale. I think it forced them to, we still have a lot of work to do. We still have a lot of work to do. Yeah. So we also went into, I think we answered the other one, is diversity in the church a trend, But the other topic that we had was just do something, face shields and masks. And it says, is it still a problem during COVID? We talked about this in June when people, they were first talking about wearing the face mask, that you had to wear face masks and shields. Do you see us still having a problem with that, or you think people have gotten on the bandwagon, or is it still?
No, it's still a problem, because businesses aren't making their employees wear them, so they don't wear them. The bosses is not wearing them, so the employees is not going to wear them. People if you go in stores, if the stores don't make them wear them and enforce it, it's easy to have it up on your wall. You must have a mask, must wear a mask to enter. But if they come in without a mask and you ain't saying nothing to them, then you're not enforcing what you're saying. Social distance, 6 feet apart. If you don't tell them and make sure that they do it, they're not doing it.
Well,
you can put anything up and people read it and do just the opposite.
Do you think we have more resistance, Leora, now to it, or the same resistance?
I don't know if it's resistance, but I know that some people will have their choices on the matter, and they will decide, okay, yes, I'm going in the store and I don't want to wear a mask because I don't believe in that, or they may even use their religious preferences that I don't believe in it,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So I mean, just today I was in Walmart and there was about 3 or 4 people without masks, and so I'm like, okay, I guess no one is saying anything at the door. This woman is rolling around on a wheelchair with no mask. Hello, I mean, is that a problem? Well, some people would we're forced it, like, okay, I will file a lawsuit if you force me to wear a mask. I mean, seriously?
Well,
Well,
then
it
you're
may.
not forcing them. If it's a part of, you cannot come in unless you have a mask. If that's the policy, that's the policy. You have a choice.
Yeah,
You can come
yeah,
in and wear your mask, or you don't have to come in and you still don't have to wear your mask. You can wear it.
right,
I mean, most stores, I don't think, say anything about the face shield.
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
you have a choice.
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody, far as the stores, say anything about the face shields.
Mm-mm.
I know some jobs will tell you you have to have a medical note in order to wear the shield, but I haven't seen any stores, implement that either
Right.
way, as long as you have one or the other on. But then again,
Mm.
But don't you think
the
it's
way people are nowadays, you can tell somebody they need to wear a mask, huh?
But don't you think it should be a personal, a sense of personal responsibility of being our brother's keeper to wear a mask or wear something, even if we don't believe in it for ourselves, to care
Right.
about another human being, to because we might feel like we're not going to give it to anybody because we don't have it, but we don't know about the other person that's walking around.
Right. We don't know where they've been or who they've been in contact with.
Exactly.
And so, right, everybody's out here doing Daisy Go Laxy.
Well, do you think it has gotten better, or do you think it's still the same from, we talked about this in June.
I don't think it's too much better.
No, you don't think this?
It's about the same, I think.
I think so too. I think it's more publicized now, than it was in say June, but I believe it's about the same too. Well, we talked about the lost sheep of anxiety, the fears of COVID. In the beginning, there was a lot of fear about COVID because it was something that people didn't quite understand, and they didn't know the relevancy, or they didn't understand who it affected. I mean, in the beginning, it said that it wasn't affecting children. Then we found out later that it did affect children, and it can babies and children can contract COVID. And so, how do you think the anxiety of COVID has lessened?
I believe it's still there. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, you can get, over time, you can get comfortable with the fact that, okay, yes, but no, the anxiety, being inside, being not able to, go out and do the things, go to your restaurants, go to your recreation, just to have fun. Especially adults, we get anxious, but children as well. So if I notice the anxiety in children, I mean, I can only imagine anxiety in adults. I mean, especially the teenagers as well, that need their socialization, because they need to socialize. COVID restricts us from, it restricts us from socialization. It restricts us from, doing our normal day routines in such a way that being hospitable is a problem. It's like, how do we be hospitable to someone, invite them to come over? We can't invite them to come over. You have to
right. If they're not your immediate
no more invites.
Yeah, if it's not your immediate family, and even some family members, I find even still don't want to come around because they still have this anxiety about COVID. Even though they know it's going to be the immediate family, they still don't want to come. Because they still have this anxiety about COVID. So actually, we're looking at that anxiety with COVID. I guess it's going to be here until COVID has been contained, or they really feel like, because now we can go on and say we have this vaccine, but now they have anxiety about the vaccine. So do you think it has lessened, or now even
no? It just puts something else on the plate to be anxious
something
about.
else on the plate with the
Yeah,
vaccine.
yeah,
So
cause
the
it's like
anxiety
this.
they had with afraid of having COVID, they still having the anxiety of the
Right.
vaccine now.
Yep.
I mean, it's like people know it's there and it's available, but they're like, okay, I'm not gonna take this. I'm not sure about it. I never took the flu, so I'm not getting this.
Yeah.
And then, they're kind of watching apprehensive until they figure out what's really going on. Is it really going to be safe or not? Or is it
Right.
going to lead to other kind of side effects or things like that? So
Right.
people
So
can,
we have to do a lot of self-care.
be apprehensive
Yeah.
and have anxiety about that.
Yeah. So we need to do a lot of self-care. And I think also to
Yeah,
be
that's the
mindful
thing.
that other
People have
people,
that.
have is anxieties and they might act out because of all this anxiety. And so we have to do in this time, especially us as Christians, we have to be set the example of being tolerant of people, because anxiety hasn't changed. It's changed its face, but it hasn't decreased in being here. So, okay. So we went on and we went down to in August. Well, we've been talking about COVID all this time, and we had our subjects. Do you understand what you understand? And that's when we was talking about gloves, dealing with COVID, and people are still littering with gloves, and they still don't know the proper procedure with gloves. I see even now, or you wouldn't see gloves thrown all over the street, or you might see people with gloves on and they touching everything, not realizing that you're
transferring everything
still
to everything.
transferring. So I don't think that has changed. And with it, the lack of knowledge or just don't care, there are just going to be some people that's going to do whatever,
Right.
They're going to say, well, I got the
just to say that they're doing something.
So do you think that they just don't understand, or they just overwhelmed with the process?
Both.
Both, yeah. It's overwhelmed and just, don't care. It's a lot for people to take in. For sometimes they just like, I don't
I've
want to
had
deal
enough,
with. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had enough. You want me to put the mask on? I got the mask on. I'm putting on gloves. Now you saying don't touch everything, even if I have the gloves on. I just don't understand. So a lot of times they just, like you say, it's overwhelmed. It's too much has been going on this year for them to really take it all in. And I think that people are sick and tired of being sick and tired, as the saying goes.
Yeah. Yeah, most likely it's like people who've had the exposure or no family members or close by that have exposure. They're more on a higher level of taking care of wearing the gloves and wearing the mask and all that because they've been in that arena and they're more careful. So everything is like, okay, I got to do this. I got to do this. I don't want to catch it again.
Right.
Because yes, we know how serious it is. We know, but for those people that have the exposure, most likely they have a higher risk of getting it again. So that's why they wear the whole PPE, the whole 9 yards. It may not be a problem for them. They may not be overwhelmed. They may say, "Hey, this is a necessary thing. I gotta do this."
But I guess that's why we all are different people and we have different levels of understanding. And that's why our anxiety levels can be on different levels. So whatever we understand. And whatever we don't understand as a people, we just don't do it.
That's right.
And that hasn't changed from the beginning of the year to now that I don't see.
No.
But one of our topics was what you talking about, Wilma. And what that was talking about is where do we go during COVID with the places being closed, and we kind of hit on it. So what are you talking about? I can't go to Golden Corral. What you talking about? I can't go to Olive Garden. What you talking about, Wilma? What you talking about? I can't go to my favorite pub.
Well, but some of the places they did open it for a while for, restricted seatings. You have to call in and, reserve your area, or they do the special seating table, skip a table and so on. So yeah, some people still needed to eat. But in the beginning, it was like, okay, nobody's going anywhere. Everybody stay in. You just have to deal with it. But later they started lifting a little bit of restrictions and people started going to their Texas Roadhouse like they couldn't live without it. They would go down to go to
But I don't think there's any Golden Corrals that's open.
It is, and I just kind of threw that in.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like, you can't serve yourself. So I don't think none of the Golden Corrals are open.
Well, let me ask you, Sheree, is there places that you used to go to? I'm not much of a eater out, so it didn't matter to me because I don't eat out that much. You know, I'm a home eater. You know, I like home cooked food. So it didn't bother me not going out to eat. But what about you, Sheree? What changes did it bother you to go out, to being able to go out?
Not really. Not because I didn't go sit down very often. We got to go. So it really didn't. It was a change not to be able to go at all.
Somebody told you couldn't go.
Right. That was the biggest thing was, and I guess I've been like that all my life.
Yeah.
Just don't tell me not to.
Right.
Just leave it alone.
I wasn't gonna do it anyway, but now that you told me,
now that you mentioned it. But I think that's what it was, because they said you can't, and the more somebody tell you you can't,
right,
or don't do, it puts in your mind, why are you going? No, I'm gonna go try it, or this is what I want to do.
Right.
So yeah, only cause it said don't.
Yeah, I mean, it was good that when it's like, at first, I'm not much of a restaurant eater, but I would go every now and then. I didn't have any favorite places, but yeah, but mainly it was more of the recreational areas that was closed, mainly for the children, that I was kind of restricted. Oh, I can't go to the altitude trampoline park because we go there often. Oh, we can't go bowling, but we go there often. We can't go skating. But eventually, like in the beginning of the pandemic, yeah, we were able to skip out and go bowling. But at first, like the first month or so, we were like, okay, can we go anywhere? Can we go? Let me call up and find out. So April, I think that's when we went, or April or May. Yeah. And we went out, you know, because they was lifting a little restrictions. So it got us a chance to go out the house. And I said, the movies, what about movies? We got to go to movies. So,
now that was the one thing I do miss, because I like movies. And
I think we've been to the movies once.
I haven't been to
really? I think we've been once. Since this.
Yeah, I missed the movie.
But it wasn't that many people.
No, it wasn't. It's just a.
Might have been twice. I take that back. It might have been twice, but where we went, it wasn't that many people around, and we sat apart. So yeah.
Yeah, it was not the same feeling as having a crowd and there are a lot of people.
No.
But, well, that's what the pandemic did. It restricted the crowd.
Well, when it comes to around going toward August, we were talking about, is it wasting time or waiting time? And that's what we were talking about, being worried about our allergies, or being worried about whether it was allergies or where it was COVID. We were having a lot of people talking about that being able to differentiate. If you started coughing, you know, or sniffing or what have you, people were getting
start looking at you crazy, sideways. Get away from me.
Right. Don't mention
what's wrong with you.
You know. Yep. So was it a waste of time trying to explain to people, or was it just time that you was just waiting for them to get an understanding? How did you feel?
No, I told them straight off the bat. Y'all know I came here coughing. I was coughing, get choked before COVID got here. So don't start acting crazy when y'all hear me in this office coughing. Don't even do it. Y'all know it ain't.
It's a cold cough, not a COVID cough. Okay, you have to explain it.
Right. Well, it did. You know. So was it a waste of time trying to constantly tell people about this, or you just waited it out and just say they'll figure it out?
They'll figure it out once I told them. I told it once. I wasn't telling them again.
So you wasn't wasting your time, huh?
Nope. No, they just asked now, you all right in there? Yeah, I'm fine. Just choking. I'll be all right.
Yeah. So you were able to, Sheree, you had to go into your job. I mean, but for me, I was virtually. So when you had to go in, you had to, deal with that. I guess when I was at home,
I've been on my job from day one. I've never been off.
Me too.
Yeah. Okay.
We've had cut days, some of the days.
The courthouse never closes.
No. Yeah, courthouse never closed. People won't stop committing crimes.
They won't stop beating up on folk. They won't keep their hands to themselves.
And they won't stop running red lights and driving without license, don't expired license plates. They just, or driving drunk. They, people just are, even with COVID,
they're
still doing these things. So the courthouse can't close.
If domestic violence closed, they would have more people either in the morgue or in the hospital or in jail. Because they will not keep their hands to themselves.
Yeah. Well, when I'm talking about hands to ourselves, that takes me on to August. We're in August now, when John Lewis had passed, and everybody was talking about what does good trouble or necessary trouble look like. Especially with the protesting versus rioting, and then the white militants versus the black militants, and it was just Black Lives Matter. So what does good trouble or necessary look like? Does it still look the same to you in August as it does now?
I mean, you talking about compare from August to now, does it look the same?
Yeah.
Is it I guess in a way it's still important. In a way, we still have a lot that we have to do with the voting issues and making sure our votes are counted. Georgia's still over there dealing with the voting issue over there. Yes. And that's where, John Lewis originated close to that area. Right. Most of his protest and movement was strong in that southern area. So yes, there's still necessary trouble. Yes, we still got to get our votes counted. Yes, we still got to make some noise to be heard. Yeah. I mean, everywhere we go, we still got to make our comments and our movement, regardless of whether it's mass incarceration, regardless of if it's running for city council, regardless of it, police, racial profiling, whatever the situation is, we still got to be heard. We still need to make some necessary trouble.
Yeah.
So, yes.
So what do you think, Sheree? Do you think we'll always be in that frame of mind of good trouble and necessary trouble? It still will look like it looks like now, even though we're in COVID and they're trying to say we're phasing out of COVID due to the vaccines. Do you still see the need for being in good trouble and necessary trouble? Will it still look the same post-COVID, do you think?
I believe it'll still look the same because I don't think COVID has anything to do with it.
Okay.
I mean, the necessary trouble was there before, and it'll be there after. It may go up, it may go down, but it was.
Social justice issues will always be
there.
It's going to be there. Okay, so now we're getting into in September where we're talking about can I, he, you please fix it. And that was when we were talking about Joe Biden, when he was running for the president-elect Joe Biden.
Right.
When he was first running for the presidency, they wanted to go back to what was that, 67 or 63, and talk about the crime bill that he had signed off on. He signed off on it because part of it was what he wanted. But as we have learned, all bills have different layers, and people wrote in certain things like that they want, and sometimes you're signing off on the total bill, but all of the bill is not what you wanted. You're just compromising. And that's what
Right.
that Biden did. And people were doubting him running for the presidency back in August, because of that crime. And there was a lot of talk about that. People make mistakes, and he admitted his mistake. He said that even though a part of the bill was what he wanted, he shouldn't have compromised. So can things be fixed? Can everything be fixed? When we look back over our lives, when we can everything be fixed, or can some mistakes that we make, we just have to live with it?
Some mistakes we made, we just have to live with it, because sometimes there's no way to go back and fix anything. You just have to move on and learn from that and not repeat it.
Right.
But
and do something different.
Do you think that acknowledging that it was a mistake helps?
Yeah.
Acknowledging, yes, that makes you feel more honest, more transparent. So admitting it, I made a mistake, and that shows that you're genuine and that people can feel you, that you care. I'm sorry I made the mistake. That helps. Yeah.
And you didn't try to cover it up or make an excuse.
Or don't make a comment at all.
Right.
Yeah. Or get arrogant and say it is what it is.
Right.
Yeah. I believe that too. And I think that's what helped him move forward in winning the presidency, is because, he acknowledged it. He said, I made a mistake. He said, I should not have compromised for my little small portion of it.
He owned up to his mistake.
He said, because of that one issue, he said, now my signature identifies with the entire bill. And that's the way it is sometimes in life. We want to compromise, and there's some things that we just can't compromise on in life, because once you put your signature, once you put your stamp of approval on it, that's who you are. And people will forget that, and everybody won't be forgiving or understanding, as you explain why you did what you did, or compromised on whatever the issue is, even living our lives. For Christ, we're transparent. We're building relationships. And everybody has a story. I said all the time, everybody has a story. People might act like they don't have a story, but I tell people all the time, I had to tell them this week, I have not always been saved. I have not always been a preacher. I come up in the streets, hard life. I say, however, I choose to conduct myself this way. I choose not to engage in unseemly activity. I choose. I am intentional. So you're not going to make me act up and be unseemly, because I choose this life. I chose it, and I'm intentional about it, and that's the way we have to be. We tell people we have a story, but don't be pushing me in a corner, because I have not always been saved. So you think I'm soft because I don't cuss and holler, scream, and yell at you. But I just want you to know life I'm living is intentional. I choose this life. There's still a human being here.
Right.
But sometimes when you say you're sorry for something, people are going to look at that and they're not going to let it go. If it's something so detrimental, even like when people get on the Facebook or social media, that's going to mark you. That's going to stay there. Social media is not going to go away. You could be a teenager, and like this one girl, she was going up for a cheerleader at some school in California, white girl. Was 16 and said something. Yeah, I got my license, and she said the N-word, and somebody videotaped it, and she had received all these championship dance awards and everything, cheerleading, got accepted to the college. But later on, when this social justice issue came out, they was picking on her because she said the N-word, and she lost a scholarship.
Or a lot of wearing blackface and things like that. Well, that's why we have to understand, we have to tell our young people also that there are some things that people are not going to forgive you for.
Right.
Even though we live in this world and we say you have to forgive others, so that just like you want to be forgiven, but realistically, there are people in this world that will not forgive you. And we preach.
They gonna hold every and anything over your head.
Right. So we have to teach them to live your life for that. You don't have to come up against these things that will tear you down later on in life,
True.
So that's what, so some
Right.
things that I guess we agree that some things can't be fixed. We have to just move on.
No.
Right.
Move on and trust God that, that he's gonna light our path.
Right.
And that we still will succeed irregardless to what others think or feel about us. So as we get on down, we have only 2 more topics left, and that was we went through 13 topics this year, and the 12th one was do you understand what you understand? And that was, do people, and this is still talking about COVID, that's the top, no matter what we do, COVID is still in the picture. So do you think that people, here he is, December 2020, December 31st, 2020, do you think that people really understand the seriousness of COVID-19?
Some don't.
Can you put
some don't care?
What percentage would you say?
Huh?
What percentage do you think?
I think maybe 60, 40.
60-40, 60 understand what they understand about COVID, and 40% just don't want to.
Yeah, and 40 just don't care.
Okay. What about you, Sister Leora?
I say, yeah, probably the same, 60-40, 60 care, maybe 40% don't. I mean, for our understanding of how things are and rolling around. I wish it could be a higher number, but you're going to still have those people that'll be like, yeah, this a blowover, this a blowover. I ain't worried about it, I ain't worried. But it's like, how serious are you into, you make sure that you keep yourself safe and keeping others safe and doing all your PPEs, hand washing, sanitizing and all that. And also, as you say, looking out for our brothers and sisters who may not be wearing our masks, making sure they're okay. So
Right.
sometimes it's like that. So we still want more people to be aware because it's not over.
Right.
It's still here.
That we live in. It's not going to be 100% perfect, because we aren't 100% perfect people. We are imperfect people living in an imperfect world.
All right.
And so we have to realize that we live in a world where there are other imperfect people that live in this same imperfect world. And we're just going to have to grow in tolerance, grow in understanding, grow in love, teaching the young ones, so that they come up with the understanding of how it works. Because you can tell the young ones that has been taught about COVID and talks about COVID, because I see even 3 and 4-year-olds wear their mask and don't fight it.
Yeah.
They've been taught, that this is the life, and it's made to seem normal,
Right.
But then you see others that there's nowhere in the world you're gonna put a mask on 3-year-old. We're gonna fight because it's almost like the resistance of, you're gonna put this on me and you're gonna tell me why. You know how little kids is not growing up.
Right. Right.
You ain't gonna do that. Why? A total different generation, that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
But as we come to a close, we had in November 22nd, we had a podcast with 5 clergy women, and Reverend Sheree was the co-host, and we talked about the Great Commission and the 21st Century Church. That can be found on YouTube, and it also can be found on R.A.N.T.forLife, the video of it. And it's also on Spreaker and iHeart and Spotify and all the other platforms that you can hear it. But you can see it on Facebook and Real Anointed Needed Talk, and on YouTube, Rene'eLLis, and also Real Anointed Needed Talk channels on YouTube. And it was a very interesting talk about the Great Commission and the 21st century church, in the 21st century church. So now we have you here, Sister Leora. Sister Reverend Sheree had to step out on parts of it. But what is your
I'm living in your background.
Views about the Great Commission and the 21st century church?
I believe that still as the church, I mean, there's a need for more of us to do more great outreach. I mean, to be more walkers and more doers, not just to be pew riders and just talking, but we have to get out there to see the results. We have to make change. When people go to church, they want to feel their spark. And when you talk, they need to feel something that's like what you call the truth of the sword of the spirit. They need to feel something that it irks them to say, okay, I need to make a change, or I need to talk to somebody. This bothers my spirit. My spirit is feeling heavy. So I feel like the Great Commission of the church, 21st century, is not to be lukewarm. It cannot be lukewarm. We are too lukewarm as it is. We have to be so on fire, ready for service, ready to do more outreach, and go out and to do more outreach so that it can be more a representation of who we are. If they are to see the Christ in us, we ought to show the Christ. We have to show their walk. And that's being truthfully being obedient to the word. It's not just showing you sugar coating and putting sugar and chocolate and all these ices on top. No. I'm gonna show you, break it down to what the word is, and that's how we are to walk. And there's no gray in between. It's black and white. And I'm sorry, but that's the God I follow, and He's holy, and He expects us to be holy. I can't give you anything else but that. You know, that's what I expect.
We have to speak the truth. I want to go back to where this one preacher was on there, and she mentioned that her grandson, I think, or her nephew or someone had wanted to get baptized, and they got baptized, but they had the understanding, or they thought from the teaching or whatever it was they had got previously, was that once they got baptized, that everything was going to be new, everything was going to change. And they were so disappointed by the fact that things weren't new and nothing had changed after they got baptized. And that's why it's so important that the truth is taught. The truth is taught. And you must teach the word of God, the unadulterated word of God. And this word,
yes,
that you're going to always feel joy, and you're going to always see change, and He's going to always heal you, and He's going to always deliver you. And God is going to,
yes.
He said He would not leave us nor forsake us, but then He didn't say that we would not go through trials and tribulation. It said, saying, as I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil.
I fear no evil. Yes, Lord.
Will be present. Evil.
Yes, yes.
You know, and
always lurking.
We can't always stand up and shout. You know, and shout and out the pews. You know, when they run against situations, they don't know how to handle it. They want to commit suicide. You know, because they has not been given the tools. You know what they say.
That's what it.
Give a man to eat, you know, and he'll keep coming back. But if you give him the tools to fish, he'll save his own self.
Yeah.
Yes, Lord. Yes, and that is right. We need those tools. We do.
You know, we have to give them tools. We can feed them, but we have to give them the tools too.
Right.
You know, so
and that's what it is.
Build their own individual walk, because it's a personal walk. It's individually, but we have to give them the tools to build that relationship. What do you think, Sister Sheree?
Yeah, we do. We can't, expect people to automatically come in and know what they're supposed to do or how to do it.
How to build that relationship,
Right. If you don't instruct them and give them instructions, and then not only tell them, but show them how to do it.
Yes, that's what we all need. We all need to
just say, I want you to go pick up this Bible, which they've never picked up before. Go pick up the Bible and turn to Genesis 3 and 4. Well, first of all, they may not even know what the Bible is.
Yep.
So you have to show them
in the Old or the New Testament.
Yes. If they don't know what the Bible is, how are they gonna know what Genesis is? So then you have to
exactly.
show them, okay, this is Genesis. They don't know what the verses
They do not.
the chapter is.
Right.
So you have to
Exactly.
show a big number.
Right. So teaching other
That's the chapter.
That's
Then you go under that big number and find your verse. But if you just tell them to go pick it up and turn to this, they'll never get it.
Yeah.
They'll get discouraged and don't want to do it. Because they don't.
Now you have adults that's supposed to, exactly. You have your adults and then you have your children. Now, when I always look at it, I always think about the chicken and egg philosophy. Who do I reach first? But I know that I enjoy working in ministry with the children and teaching them the word because that's my passion. I always enjoy that. When I go knocking on doors, trying to get kids, recruit them from the neighborhood to come to church or whatever, or when they come into foster care in my home, I'm always like, okay, I know some of them may not know how to find the Bible, how to find Genesis, how to turn to a chapter. They're like, what number is it? A small number or the big number? Because they've never been taught that.
Right.
They don't know what the chapter is. So this is all new to them. So even, learning the Bible basics, okay, I know you know the first man and the woman of the Bible that God made. Some of them do, some of them don't. I mean, you can go through all the Bible stories depending on their age, and they're just totally don't have a clue. Now, if I were to go survey 100 children in Louisville from ages 5 to 18 and ask them Bible stories, who was the strongest man in the Bible, who was the wisest man in the Bible, who made the ark, who said, let my people go, who was in the lion's den, name the man that was in the fire, who was Jesus' mom and dad. Those questions, only about maybe 40% will get it right. The other 60% would not have a clue. That's not good.
Well,
that is
that's
not.
Why my kids that I have now, it's actually 4 that I do Bible study with now. We started from Genesis 1, and we are at 22. We had to stop and not do Bible study for the last 2 months, but we getting ready to start back, and we're at Genesis chapter 22. But we worked our way. I taught them how they know their first book of the Bible. They know how God created the earth.
Adults that they're
I was just getting ready to say that. I have 2 adults in that class. Because they were in the area when we were having Bible study, and they liked it because they could learn on that level.
That it wasn't over their heads.
Right. And I kept I tell them all the time, get on the level that you can get it.
Yes.
And then go up to another level. But you start there, they never stay in Bible study with the adults. They always walking around. They out in the parking lot because they don't know what they're talking about.
Because they don't know what they're talking about, right? And sometimes dealing with adults and teenagers, sometimes they can be ashamed. Their self-esteem can be in play.
Right.
They don't want people to know that they just don't understand. And plus, we have to think about learning styles. And everybody can't read at a certain level. Some people need visuals. Some people need to be able to write it down. I told one of my supervisors, I say, I need to, they were going to teach me something else. And I say, I need to use more than one sense. I uses all my senses. I want to see something visual. I want to hear what you got to say. And I want to be able to take it. That way I know because I've used 3 senses. That's my learning style. I'm a visual person mainly, but I incorporate the vision, hearing, and then writing notes. And when that's why I learn so fast. That's why I research so fast, because I use all of those senses. I don't just use one learning style. We have to know what learning style a person needs in order to learn. I really thank y'all for coming on today. I think our year 2020 in review for the R.A.N.T.forLife podcast, I think it has been a success. I am so thankful to God, for allowing us this platform.
Yes.
Who would have thought when he dropped this into my spirit and helped me get the equipment and things, that that we were going to go into a pandemic. Who would have thought?
Right.
You know? And so
That's right.
honor and glory to God, because the all-knowing God knows what you need when you're going to need it. We just have to keep our ears
Yes.
and our
Right.
hearts
Yes.
receive the Holy
Keep listening.
Yes, so it can. So
Mm.
I'm going to have each of you do a parting word of what is your take on 2020 personally for yourself going into 2020. What is your reflection? We'll start up here at the top with just Reverend Sheree.
Yeah,
What
I
is
knew you
your
was gonna do
reflection
that.
on 2020 and going into 2021? What is your reflection?
Well, to do better in self-care.
Mm-hmm.
To because in order to encourage other people, I have to do some self-care on myself,
Mm-hmm.
so that I'm able and strong enough to do to encourage somebody else.
Yes.
So, you know, we need to really, and then looking, I really didn't do too much self-care.
Mm-hmm.
I was all about everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going forward, I need to bring some stuff in.
Love yourself.
And yeah,
Love yourself. Yes. All right, Sister Leora, what about you?
And that's going to be hard, very hard for me.
What is your
Yes, okay, that's good. And I think what Sheree said about self-care, that's definitely for me as well. I know that COVID-19 has also brought in an extra 19 on me, you know, as my size and my weight. So I got an extra 19 or so. So I got to do something about that. I got to go into 2021, getting on that treadmill and doing more cardio. Now, Planet Fitness, the gym was open, yes, but of course they had restrictions. But I can't make excuses anymore. You know, if I'm at home virtually, I can still take a lunch break and go do some workouts. There's no excuse for that. So, but I got to do better on self-care. I need to do better on my outreach and more. I mean, I still was able to hand out Bible tracts, talk to people, reach children, but I still feel like I was inadequate on my outreach, and I criticized my outreach and said I didn't do as much as I should, but I did do some. But some, yeah, it's a little bit. I was able to bring 2 children to church and pick them up and do all that. I mean, I could have done more. So my goal in 2021 is to do more to reach more children. Try to find creative ways to get them in, but also to draw their parents in as well, because yes, I can reach the children, but I also need to reach the parents to ask them to come. And maybe I could have to invite them to Bible study like Sheree and say, come on to Bible study or something and join me in there. So, but I think that's what I'm looking at for 2021, to be more steadfast, to be more firm, to hold on to my truth, and don't be shakable for anyone to say this is what God says, and to stand firm in that. Because I know I had some temptations, some things that was going to take me out of my walk, and I didn't want to lose my walk to satisfy those things. But I said, no, this is my walk. I'm walking with the truth. I don't want to be tempted into that. I don't want to go there. So thank you, God, for giving me that grace and mercy, and to let me know that I am your child and that you love me and that you're still keeping me. So going forward in 2021, I want to have more strength to stand firm with my armor of God on, everything, just holding it boldly and said, come on, I dare you. Okay, you want to attack me? Move out the way. I got this armor. So I want to go in there with that firmness. So that's what I believe in 21 is to go in with boldness. I'm trying to go in with boldness. Okay.
My reflection on 2021 is what I've been working towards going out of 2020, and that is being more profound in following the will of God on my life. And
yes.
and not letting fear of what others think or will say or their opinion of me cause me to not follow what the will of God is on my life personally, and I've been working really hard towards that, all my life in some way, shape, or form. I've always been sensitive to what people are going to think or what people are going to say or about me, but my focus is a spiritual focus and a spiritual journey. Focus has been my words for the last 3 years going into the new year. But my focus has now been defined on my spiritual journey, listening to God and trusting Him, no matter what.
Right, exactly.
Hebrews 11:1.
Yeah.
Now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. I went into 2020 with that. The Lord had given to me on New Year's Eve last year, and this year is still focused, but it's more fine-tuned. It's not just focus, period, but to be in line with the Holy Spirit as He leads our life.
Yes.
And not be afraid.
That's true.
Of that.
Not be afraid. Yes, have that faith, girl, faith and not fear. Because 2020, we saw things, but now we got to go around 2021 shaking ground and say, okay, we can't live like that anymore. We got to be breaking ground in 2021. We're going to do it, girl. No faith, no fear, but a whole lot of faith.
That's right. That's right.
Walking in faith. So I just want to thank y'all so much. Reverend Sheree Williams, hope you have a happy new year. And
yes,
I pray that God's grace and mercy allows me to be seen on the other side. And you, Sister Leora, I'm so glad that God allowed me to meet you. And we've been kindred spirits, we haven't gotten together as much as we wanted to, but the Lord knows when is all the right time and when is the time. We have to just be attuned to that. And so I just thank you for coming on the podcast and giving your wisdom and your opinion, and
yes,
staying true to the faith. So this podcast, Real Anointed Needed Talk, R.A.N.T. for Life podcast, will be aired, if I can get it uploaded in time, and I have it posted to be on Facebook at least by 7:30. And from that point on, it'll go to YouTube channel, Real Anointed Needed Talk, and Rene'eLLis 50. And also it will be on Spreaker and all the other podcast platforms before the night is over with, prayerfully. But it definitely will be on Facebook, on Real Anointed Needed Talk Facebook page at 7:30.
Awesome.
First place I'm gonna.
Awesome.
Okay.
So I'm excited. Thank you.
Happy
New Year, everybody.
Ain't nothing. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yes. All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. Is this still recording? It's supposed to stop recording.
Well, that's it for 2020. As we go into 2021, we're going to come with more and more unapologetic real talk just for you. We thank you for being with us on our podcast, different podcast platforms, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeart, Deezer, and many other podcast platforms that we've been on this year, and our YouTube channel, Real Anointed Needed Talk, and Rene'eLLis 50. But we're so happy that you have joined us, and I hope you enjoyed, and will just stay tuned. In 2021 we have more and more podcasts coming your way, more unapologetic formats, Real Anointed Needed Talk. Our podcast is sponsored in many ways, and we would appreciate if you would help us to continue with this podcast by going to our sponsorship page, which is goalie.com. Apple cider vinegar gummies. Yes, it's at GOGOLI.com/. Rene'eLEllis apple cider vinegar gummy for your health needs. It's been known to help you lose weight, and it also has managed blood pressure, a lot of different health benefits with this apple cider vinegar gummy, and it tastes real good too. Okay, so go to go.goli.Rene'eLEllis and please support us by going and purchasing. There's many discounts along with the health benefits. We have many discounts for you. So go to that page. And also, you can support us by cash apping us. Yes, you can cash app us. It's at capital RLE 50. That's cash app at $RLE 50. That's where you can support us. And another place you can support us is going to our YouTube channel. Yes, Real Anointed Needed Talk, and also Rene'eLEllis 50, where all things Reverend Ellis are there. We have the podcast. We have talking about our books. We have Bible study. We even have Bible study for children there also. So just go on over to our YouTube channel, and I'm sure that you're going to find something to prick your interest, entertain you, inspire you, help you further in knowing more about God. Just a bunch of stuff. Just go on over there and you'll find something, I'm sure, that will interest you and inspire you and encouraging you in 2021, as it has for many in 2020. And on our Facebook page, don't forget our Facebook page. That's Real Anointed Needed Talk. And also, Children Always Need Answers and Alternative Network. And we also have a group page, is Unapologetic Believers and Artists, okay, page. And I also have another one, for my books. I am a published author, as you know, and is Don't Be Afraid to Travel. All the information or anything that, like I said, that can pique your interest, whatever you're interested in, we try to supply that need, and by encouraging you and inspiring you. So we look forward to going in 2021 with you. Come travel along with us. Unapologetic, anointed, real anointed needed talk in an unapologetic format with real talk and you in mind. You ask, send us, inbox us those questions or things that's on your mind, and we will talk about it. Are you ready for 2021? Come on to Real Anointed Needed Talk, R.A.N.T.forLife podcast. We have just the talk that you need in 2021. I'm Reverend Rene'e L. Ellis, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.